All right, welcome back. We continue #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. Big game coming up on Monday night. It's big because the Steelers and the Bengals are winless. And quite frankly, you win one game with the way this division is, you might be able to get yourself right back in it. Ron, I want to ask you about, what happens in this game and the fact that it's Cincinnati and the fact that if they don't win it, would you expect change in the coaching staff? Maybe not, head coach to go, but a coaching change, whether it's a coordinator or somebody else?
What, are you talking about next week?
I'm talking about if they lose.
Or after the season. I don't see them making a change, Bob, during the season. They lose tomorrow night. I think it's pretty much over even in that division. You point out the way the division is. They win tomorrow night. They're 1-3. Today, Cleveland helped out by beating Baltimore. They're both 2-2. I looked at Cleveland's schedule. They got at San Francisco, Seattle at home, at New England, at Denver the next 4 weeks. They could be 3-5. Baltimore's at Pittsburgh. Now, if the Steelers don't win tomorrow and Sunday, then they're home against Cincy, home against Houston, at the Rams. I could see 4-4, and I'm going to give the Steelers a loss against the Chargers. And if they win their 3 home games ahead, 4-4, they're right back in it. Now, they got to take care of their business, but I hate to say the only hope they have is everybody else is bad, but that's the way I look at it.
Well, it's not a good division. I mean, it really isn't. And the rate, if there's ever a team that's been 0-3 that still has a chance, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers for a lot of reasons. Other than the first week, obviously they haven't been blown out. They have a quarterback that I think is going to continue to get better if the offensive coordinator gets out of the way. And the division isn't that great. It just isn't. And of your losses, you only have 1 in the conference and none in the division yet. Everything's in front of you. Again, if there's ever an 0-3 team that's not out of it, it's the Steelers. But Coach Randy needs to get out of the way, and he needs to let Mason Rudolph be a quarterback, number 1.
I think they have more problems than Coach Randy.
Well, I think he's the biggest.
Yeah, I get that. But, the offensive line needs to play better than it has. They need to be able to run the football. That's been non-existent for them. The defense has been mediocre. Is that a word we can use? What wide receivers have stepped up on any sort of consistent basis? We're really stretching it with the tight ends. It feels like such an uphill climb. I understand what you're saying, Colin. I do think there are some, it's a mediocre division and they have some signs, but you would like to see some of that stuff round into form against the Bengals.
Well, I'm sorry. How many times have we said if they ever lose Ben, they're done for a long period of time? And they've lost Ben, and I think they're done. Rudolph may end up being good. I don't know. But the only hope they have for me is the division. I think it's going to be brutally difficult to win without Ron.
Well, the reason, though, too, Ron, and it's not Ben's fault, but they have an offensive coordinator that could coach Ben and no one else. That's the problem, I think. They have a guy that Ben said, I want him to be my coach, and it came to fruition and it happened. And it seems like a rather big yes man for Ben is the offensive coordinator.
Well, he hasn't, he's been the offensive coordinator now for all but one game with Roethlisberger. We saw what happened last week. To dovetail on what you said, Colin, and Ron, I want to get your take because Randy Fichtner seemed to indicate that Mason Rudolph should have gone down more in the first half down the field. He seemed to throw his young quarterback under the bus. In your opinion, did he?
No, I don't think so. I think he was telling the truth, and I think Rudolph came along and agreed with that. I was told that at the first series that Washington was fairly wide open down the field, and that Rudolph didn't even really look at him. He glanced and then checked down the side stuff, the short passes. Whether he doesn't let him throw the ball downfield or Rudolph isn't taking advantage of it, I look for that to change tomorrow night. I think they'll take their shots.
This has to be a game plan thing from Fichtner, too. You don't need to be calling the same sort of passing plays that you would call with Ben Roethlisberger. That's silly to me. And Mason Rudolph is nowhere close. But is he good enough to throw short timing routes and get the ball in the hands of receivers to let them make plays? Yes, I think he can do that. But right now I have my doubts whether Randy Fichtner can. I agree with a little bit of what Colin said in that he's so married to Ben Roethlisberger that's tough to adjust that, but you need to adjust your game plan.
I think we're also seeing just how good Ben Roethlisberger was at the line of scrimmage.
Yes.
And how many times he unilaterally took control of the offense and changed things around, particularly as the play clock was running down.
All right. And I think the other thing, too, real quickly is when the play would break down, Ben could still make a play. I've been told Rudolph is a numbers guy. He's got to go 1, 2, 3. He's not going to make the plays that Roethlisberger did when it broke down.
Which is why the run game is so vitally important. We're going to continue this conversation here when we come back. But right now, it's time to go around the horn for this week's Smooth Moves, brought to you by Pittsburgh's largest supplier of the smoothest granite, marble, and quartz countertops you will find anywhere. That would be Armina Stone. So Smooth Moves, we ask these guys, smoothest move of the week. It doesn't matter if it's local, national. Colin, what's yours?
All right, Mike Leach, always great for a quote. He's at Washington State. They lose to Utah. He says that their football team was fat, they're lazy, they're every name in the book.
Dumb
Dumb too, Ron.
Don't forget dumb.
Dumb. And I'm sure there's going to be some people that find offense to this. Mike Leach is great. He's just saying exactly what his team was. And again, I bet there's an outcry from some group somewhere that's going to try to get Mike Leach fired. It was a great coaching move on his part.
But isn't that on him? He's the head coach if they're fat and lazy.
He recruited them.
Maybe it's on Gardner Minshew or whatever the guy's name is that's gone now.
Ron, Smooth Move.
I'm going to take the easy way out and say Steve Blass. 60 wonderful years for the Pirates organization. Never once didn't handle himself with class. It was great to see the outpouring of love for him this weekend and to think about what he did in the 71 World Series. One of the great World Series performances of all time. 2 complete game wins. Happy retirement, Steve. Hope you have many healthy, happy years.
I have 2. One of them's kind of a runner-up, a piggyback off of what Ron said. But what Trevor Williams did before today's game I thought was really cool, stepping off the rubber and saluting Steve Blass. And my second one's kind of an anti-smooth move. Brian Rust and Sidney Crosby getting hurt blocking shots in preseason hockey. Come on. Why are you blocking shots in preseason hockey? Why do you have so many games? Why are you playing in them? Lesson learned, cut it down.
All right, those are the Smooth Moves brought to you by Armina Stone, Pittsburgh's largest supplier of the smoothest granite, marble, and quartz countertops you're going to find anywhere. Smooth Moves at Armina Stone. When we come back, more Steeler talk, then Penguins, right after this on KDKA.